She gave birth one after another. But they were all blown away by the wind from afar. Ooh, what's on the other side of the mountain? It's where the sons and daughters sit in high buildings. She was forgotten in a corner of the remote mountains. Ooh. After singing a rather gloomy song, the familiar mechanical announcer's voice rang in my mind again. Somehow, William found that his parents were a bit strangely odd. His mother, Harper, was always fighting and arguing with the women in the village. His father, Levi, was always excitedly going in and out of other villagers' houses frequently and often staying out all night. Welcome player William to enter the Granny Reality instance. Dungeon difficulty 2 stars. Ooh. Initial players for people. Ooh. Player identity. You are a villager of Duan family village and also the only son of Harper, the toughest village woman in Duan family village, and Levi, the village chief. Ooh. Mission objective to explore the secrets behind Duan family village. Mission reward, a precious healing skill card. Note, only one player will get it, and this skill card can be used in reality. Player William, with a beauty value of 100, an intelligence value of 99, and a health value of 9. Note that when the health value reaches 0, it means death. Player William is in a state of being terminally ill, and his health value will continue to decline. Wish you a pleasant game. Ooh. As the mechanical voice faded away, before I could even open my eyes, I first heard a quarrel among some women. One of them had an obvious dialect accent. I couldn't understand what they were saying. All I knew was that the scolding was really filthy, which made this person seem very shrewish. Soon, a man shouted impatiently, "Harper, that's enough. Go back and cook. There will be guests coming soon." Only then did the sounds of quarreling and fighting stop. After a while, a woman walked into the cave dwelling, muttering curses. When she saw that I had just opened my eyes, there wasn't much change in her expression. "Son, have you woken up from your afternoon nap?" I calmly sized up this rural woman who was plainly dressed and a bit plump and out of shape. Although she was a bit old, her facial features were unexpectedly delicate. It's just that, for some reason, there was a long, hideous scar on her face, coupled with several fresh scratches and messy hair. She looked really disheveled. She was also unexpectedly shrewish. "Harper, mother, it seemed that she should be the boss in this 2-star dungeon." I nodded. However, Harper didn't exchange many pleasantries with me. Instead, she spat twice towards her hand and then walked straight to a broken mirror hanging on the wall of the cave dwelling to fix her hair. The spittle smeared on her hair, giving off a bit of a greasy sheen. It looked as if it had been licked by a cow. "Then you should quickly go to the west entrance of the village to pick up 3 city people." "Who am I supposed to pick up?" I asked. Harper snorted. "Your heartless father somehow got 3 college students from the city. He said they're coming to the village to do an inspection for 2 days and they'll be staying and eating at our place. We won't get a penny out of it, and I have to wait on them while they eat and drink. It's so damn annoying." It seemed that my identity was different from the other 3 players. I got off the Kong and put on a pair of dusty cloth shoes. With just a little movement, a cloud of dust would rise. I immediately coughed a few times. "Well, I'll go and pick them up." Harper was still in a bad mood. She frowned and continued to fix her hair in front of the mirror, muttering something under her breath. Only her hands were shaking slightly. It was like the excitement caused by the adrenaline that hadn't gone down after a fight. When I passed by her, I clearly heard her murmuring, "Damn man, as long as a woman comes to the village, he dares to look down on me. Sooner or later, I'll smash those little vixens' faces with bricks, and then chop them up one by one to feed the pigs, so that those scoundrel men won't look at them anymore." Humph. So it was to fight with other women for men, without Lucas by my side. Although I had the save card in hand, I didn't rush to inquire about more clues. I walked straight out of the cave dwelling and came to the entrance of the courtyard. There was a thick and big locust tree at the entrance. Under the tree, several male villagers were either squatting or standing, chatting about something. There was a woman following beside each of them. I quickly swept my eyes over these female villagers. A little doubt couldn't help rising in my heart. Why do the vast majority of the female villagers have a scar? Big or small? On their faces just like Harper? It looks extremely hideous, ruining their pretty and delicate faces for no reason. Strange. I was just about to take a closer look when a mechanical voice rang out in my head. Ding dong. Hidden Mission 1 triggered. Find out the truth about the collective disfigurement of the female villagers in Duan family village. Sure enough, there are hidden circumstances, and the men were chatting idly while their hands were sliding inside the clothes of these female villagers. The women, however, seemed to be used to it, without any expression of shame showing up. Even when the greedy and disgusting gazes of other men fell on them, their own husbands had no reaction at all. Not angry, without possessiveness. because the husband's gazes were also falling on other women, equally sticky. There was a strange harmony under the locust tree. Alexander, it's such a pity that your woman Ella has just been injured on her face and body by Levi's wife. She can only recuperate for a while. Exactly. A college student who studies dancing must have good flexibility. Now that her face is disfigured, it's a bit off-putting. Just come directly to my place when she recovers from her injuries. It doesn't matter if her face is disfigured. It's not a big deal when the lights are off. By the way, Brother Levi should come too. Don't worry about the trifles between the womenfolk. We are good buddies, after all. However, the man named Alexander took a puff of his cigarette and said with a grin, "Since my wife is injured now and can't take care of me, your mother should come to my place to cook for my new wife for a couple of days and take care of me, by the way. I heard that Aunt Sophia was once a dancing college student too. Even though she's old now, she still has her charm." The male villagers burst into laughter upon hearing this. Who can say otherwise? I've been longing for Aunt Sophia for a long time too. It's just that she's too feisty. And the middle-aged man standing right in the middle, the only one without a woman by his side, should be Levi. He gave a strange smile, revealing a mouthful of yellow teeth. He said nonchalantly, "Sure, you can order my mother around as you like." My eyebrows knitted slightly. At this moment, Levi caught sight of me from the corner of his eye. "Son, did your mother tell you about going to pick up those college students?" "Sure, hurry up and go." I took another look at that group of men and walked away with a blank expression. After walking just a few steps, I heard Levi shout into the house, "Harper, you damn woman, don't rush to cook. Go to the backyard and bring my mother here for Alexander." Bring? His mother? Another mother? I paused in my steps and looked back suspiciously. Harper in the cave dwelling made no movement. Levi threw the cigarette into the soil, stepped on it, and went back to the yard, swearing. Soon, he let out an elderly female NPC chained with an iron chain. She was about 50 or 60 years old, with a hideous scar on her face as well, but her eyes were terrifyingly vacant, and she had a stench like that of fish on her body, like rotten dried fish, all wrinkled. Harper followed beside Levi, pulling at him while saying something. "No way. I don't agree. Levi, if your mother leaves today, I won't be able to cook for so many people by myself tonight. Get lost. Don't interfere in men's affairs. If you hadn't been jealous and injured Alexander's new wife Ella, would my mother have to leave tonight? I'll deal with you later." Levi pushed Harper impatiently, making her stagger. "By the way, Alexander, keep an eye on her. Don't let my mother run away again. She's been really wild-hearted since my father died." The other end of the iron chain was then stuffed into Alexander's hand. Sophia, who was being led, looked up at this moment, blinked her eyelashes slightly, and then lowered her head again. Alexander chuckled. "Don't worry, Brother Levi." Then, Alexander publicly led Sophia, who didn't struggle at all, back to the yard next door. The door was closed. The setting sun was shining brightly. I faintly heard a strange sobbing sound, floating over with the wind that carried the lust. It was like crying, like struggling. It was indistinct, hazy, and made people uncomfortable. But these sounds were like stimulants to Levi and the others. They started chatting and laughing again. Levi didn't care at all about what would happen to his elderly mother Sophia if she was taken away by other able-bodied men. Only Harper's face looked really bad. The scar on her face was extremely hideous. Catching sight of me still standing there out of the corner of her eye, her face became even uglier. "William, why don't you go and pick someone up quickly, and then come back to help me start a fire and cook? What are you doing just standing there like a fool?" "I'll go right away." I frowned, withdrew my gaze from Alexander's courtyard, nodded and left, heading west all the way. I quickly got a rough idea of the overall situation of this village. It was very isolated and backward. All around were mountains piled up with loess. With just a little breath, the nostrils would be filled with dust. There were gullies crisscrossing everywhere, stretching continuously, and the altitude was also high. There was no way out in sight. There were many cave dwellings distributed on the mountains, with withered branches. At first glance, it was like a maze with no exit, like a prison with no end. It made people feel an inexplicable sense of despair without any vitality in their hearts. And in this kind of small village isolated from the outside world, from time to time there would be a group of men gathering to chat. Those eerie smiles were almost exactly the same as those of the group of NPCs at my doorstep. The topics are similar too. Whose newly married wife is good-looking? Whose woman is jealous and gets into a fight? Whose wife is disobedient? There are also those who quarrel with their wives and then slam the door and leave after the quarrel. Then they turn around and go to the neighbor's house next door, and then the familiar and eerie sobbing sound will ring out in the neighbor's house. Occasionally, through the window, I can see the men with their bodies bent. This village is so damn chaotic that it completely shatters my sense of morality and values. I covered my nose with a cold face and walked all the way to the entrance of the village. The temperature was gradually dropping. The evening wind blew up the yellow soil. Some soil and strange smells still managed to get into my nasal cavity through the gaps between my fingers and then into my lungs, which were aching due to illness. It felt even worse. Attention, player William. Health value is 8.2. While coughing uncomfortably, a car was approaching from a distance. Stop. 2 men and a woman pushed open the car doors. One of them was my ex-boyfriend Lucas. He was wearing a dark-colored windbreaker and carrying a backpack, looking extremely broad-shouldered and broad-backed, much like the modeled figure of the male protagonist in a certain Otome game that one of my little female cousins spends a fortune on every day. My Adam's apple moved unbearably. I licked my somewhat dry lips with the tip of my tongue. When Lucas saw me standing by the roadside, wearing only a thin and tattered piece of clothing with a pale face, his brows knitted tightly. He strode towards me and took off his windbreaker and directly draped it over me. It blocked quite a lot of wind at once. He asked me in a low voice, "Are you unwell again?" Nothing from the real world can be brought into the copy, including medicine. Lucas knew it, but there was nothing he could do. After the juniper tree copy, he was desperately looking for a way to save my life, but with no results for a long time. Fortunately, the rewards from this 2-star copy gave him hope. The remaining body heat of the boy in the windbreaker dispelled some of the pain in my throat and lungs. I shrank my head and buried the lower half of my face in the clothes, trying to muffle the hoarse cough. "No, Lucas, don't be so jumpy. I still have the pine nuts from the last dungeon. You also gave me your pine nut, plus the save point card from the crew cut guy. It's very stable." The boy asked directly instead, "How much health do you have left?" 10. William. I hate it so much when he calls my full name in such a serious way. It makes me look like an idiot who has done something wrong. Well, it was 9 just now, and now it's 8. The upper limit of the health value has dropped again. Proves that my illness is getting more serious. Lucas's mouth tightened even more. He raised his hand to help me put on the hood of my windbreaker. It was tightly fastened, not wanting to let in a bit of the cool breeze. Looking at my ex-boyfriend, whose expression seemed a bit off, I wanted to say something to comfort him, but a strange male voice came from behind him. "You too? Do you know each other?" Turning my head, I looked at the man and the woman who came with Lucas. They were both in their 20s. The man had a gentle gaze and was refined. The girl, on the other hand, was cold and looked really cool. I didn't say a word, because I wasn't sure if these 2 people could be trusted. Lucas gently pinched my hand and then turned his head to reply in a calm voice. "Yes, my boyfriend." Amid the slightly surprised and teasing expressions of the strange man and woman players, I added coldly, "We broke up long ago. We'll get back together." Lucas added. I slapped his hand away. That gentleman smiled and said, "Okay, then I wish you two get back together soon." With that, he reached out his hand towards me again on his own initiative. "Hello, I'm Daniel. My intelligence value is 98. My beauty value is 70. My health value is 99. I won't mention my skill cards for the time being. I hope we can cooperate to clear the game together." He chose to be straightforward and disclose everything to get closer. He's a smart guy. It is estimated that he had already been frank with Lucas before getting off the vehicle. Lucas chose to believe him and cooperate with him. That's why he didn't conceal the fact that we knew each other immediately and put a coat on me in public. I exchanged a glance with this man named Daniel and simply reached out to shake his hand. "William, unfortunately, my beauty value is 100. My intelligence value is 100. And my health value is also 100. Daniel looked at me, smiling without saying a word. The woman beside didn't reach out her hand but just nodded at me. "Mia, with an intelligence value of 90. The others don't matter. Let's cooperate for a win-win situation. Don't blame me for being rude if you play dirty tricks." "Cool." I also nodded in greeting. Of course. After a round of small talk, the wind grew stronger again. I said, "Let's go. It's time to start looking for clues at my place." "Everyone, I've already seen 2 grandmas." Lucas asked too. "One is called Harper, who is my mother, and the other is called Sophia, who is my grandmother. At least one of them should be an important NPC in this instance, or, you could say, the boss." I also saw. I briefly described the chaotic situation that violated the principles of ethics and morality when I woke up. While talking, I walked towards my home. On the way, Lucas and the other 2 soon witnessed those scenes as well. As the sky was getting darker, those sobbing sounds came one after another, creating a chaotic situation that made one's ears burn. Even worse, at this moment, the male villager NPCs standing on the roadside suddenly and simultaneously stopped the filthy things they were doing in their hands. They tilted their heads, and their eyes were all fixed on Mia among us in unison. Blankly and lifelessly, they seemed to be saying, "Look, there's a new woman coming. It's a female college student, a fertile female college student. Such long legs. It must feel great to touch them. I want her to stay here and bear me a son." Mia's expression remained unchanged, and she didn't feel flustered about it. With a wave of her hand, a layer of dust was inexplicably raised. It directly made these male villagers howl and cover their eyes. The disgusting gazes were immediately much fewer. Daniel looked at those female villagers with scars on their faces and asked, "I've received a hidden mission. And, have you got any?" "Yes." "That's good. If there's a mission, let's do it together and claim the rewards together." I glanced at him without saying a word. Daniel lowered his voice and continued, "Everyone, in this closed village with chaotic relationships between men and women, based on my experience of going through many dungeons. The core of this dungeon is a bit obvious. There are no more than several possibilities. Trafficking in women and children, preference for sons over daughters, female rivalry, or the feudal superstitions like sharing wives, sacrificing to ghosts and gods, and religious bad habits. Which one do you think it will be?" "Of course it's trafficking in women and children." The four of us simultaneously locked onto this solemn word, but no one directly confirmed it. A 2-star dungeon isn't much more difficult than a 1-star one, but this core is too obvious for a 2-star dungeon. Having multiple wives is also quite evident. There are others. Looking at a certain place in the center of the village, Lucas said in a calm voice, "Look for more clues. There may be more than one core." I followed his line of sight, only to see that not far away, there was a building that vaguely looked like a temple, standing eerily in the middle of the village, like a big mouth that devours people. When leading Lucas and the other 2 people up the slope and back to the home halfway up the mountain, the male villagers who were NPCs under the big locust tree at the door had already dispersed, leaving a mess. In the courtyard, Levi was brutally beating Harper. His numerous fists were like raindrops, kicking and stomping. "Damn woman, are you that jealous? Can't you stand that someone looks better than you? I'm telling you, she's a college student. A college student who studies dance. Compared to her, you're nothing. I might as well beat you to death. Then I'll marry a new college student who just arrived. What use are you? Bah! All you know is to fight with people all day long." Harper just curled up on the ground, trying her best to protect her head. The face that could be faintly seen was already bruised and purple all over, and her hands and arms were naturally covered in blood. She looked really wretched. Ding dong. Hidden Mission 2 triggered. Find out the truth about why Harper is always fighting with the female villagers. There must be something hidden about this too. I was lost in thought. At this moment, Levi heard the sound of us hurriedly walking into the yard, and the fierceness on his face immediately disappeared. He became simple and kind-hearted, with honest eyes. Only when he saw Mia did a glint flash in his eyes. "Welcome all the young talents to our village for inspection and research. I thought this kind of tough work was all for boys. I didn't expect there to be such a beautiful girl. What a surprise. Come on, you must all be tired. Come in and take a rest on the Kong first. Harper, stop lying on the ground and throwing a tantrum. Hurry up and heat up the food for the guests." "Got it." Harper then slowly got up and went into the kitchen on the far left. Only after she went in, she suddenly turned around and, through the window paper with a hole in the sitting window, gave us in the yard a gloomy glance. No, to be precise, she should have been looking at Mia. Disgust, irritability, and fierceness. She had an expression that clearly showed she didn't want to see any other women appear in her own home. When we looked back at her, she lowered her head again and continued to be busy, with her back slightly hunched because of the injuries. I slightly raised my eyebrows and looked back at Mia, exchanging glances with her. Perhaps it's easy to communicate with people who have a high intelligence quotient, without saying a single word. Mia nodded imperceptibly. Daniel curled the corners of his mouth at this moment. He smiled gently and dutifully played his role as a player, responding to Levi. "Uncle, we've come this time to inspect the ancient buildings, historical relics, and such things in the village and nearby areas. We'll unavoidably have to trouble you, the village chief, for 2 days. How could this be a trouble? Kids? Come on, come in and sit on the Kong first. Consider this place as your home once you're here." Levi wiped the blood on his hands casually and welcomed the players enthusiastically to enter the cave dwelling and sit on the Kong. Of course, mainly to welcome Mia. Mia, with a cold face, dodged his ugly hands and directly went onto the Kong and sat down. Just as Levi was about to lean over, Daniel sat down on Mia's right side. He was about to sit on Mia's left again, but was preempted by Lucas once more. Levi's face darkened for a moment, but soon he was beaming again. Sit down, all of you. I'll go and bring you the meals. William, find out that small table for eating and prop it up on the Kong. What are you standing there in a daze for? Oh, I curled my lips, but had to nod due to my player identity. After giving Mia a meaningful look, Levi left with his hands clasped behind his back like an old grandpa. As soon as he left, Lucas gently pulled me onto the Kong. Sit down, I'll look for it. With him doing the work for me, I simply lounged on the Kong to rest. Actually, I was silently relieving the aching in my chest. Attention, player William, health points 7, useless. Just climbing a few dirt slopes and I've already lost a bit of my health points. If facing the attack of some kind of boss, I'm afraid I won't be able to hold on for even a minute and would use up both pine nuts. Looking at the slightly bulging veins on the back of Lucas's hand when he was propping up the table, they were so healthy and vigorous. I looked away, feeling listless. So I didn't notice that Daniel on the side seemed to give me a glance with a half smile on his face. When Lucas had just set up a tattered small table, Levi and Harper entered one after another, carrying large and small basins. Honestly, if it weren't for the instance dungeon, this scene really would look a lot like the scene of being taken care of by the elders when visiting relatives in the countryside. And after Harper walked closer, the wound on her face was even more obvious. The wound on her hand might be too severe as the gauze was seeping blood. She put the bowls down with a loud noise, clattering, and was still muttering to herself, "You bunch of annoying brats. It took me so long to cook this meal. If you don't leave some money for the food, don't even think about leaving. Harper, don't blabber." Levi reprimanded her casually and then enthusiastically invited us to sit down. "Eat, kids. These are all the natural grains from our mountains. Coarse grain steamed cornbread, vegetable soup, meatballs. It's quite sumptuous, but who would dare to eat the things in the dungeon casually?" Harper was eating with great relish despite her bruised and swollen face, taking big bites, completely ignoring us. No wonder she was so strong in a fight. This amount of food is comparable to that of Lucas. As Levi urged us to eat again, Daniel politely said, "Uncle, we're not very hungry. You can go ahead and eat. I'd like to ask you about the stories of the historical relics nearby first. Go ahead and ask. As long as I know, I'll tell you all." When we came, we saw a very beautiful old temple in the village, but it seemed a bit dilapidated. "Would it be convenient for you to talk about the history of this temple?" Levi gradually withdrew his yellow teeth that were exposed when he was smiling and narrowed his eyes. His eyes were typical triangular eyes, and even had the whites showing at the bottom. When he narrowed his eyes, he looked very sinister and greedy. "That temple has been around for quite some time, but..." Suddenly, he looked at us and said mysteriously, "There's something wrong with that temple." Lucas asked, "What's wrong?" Levi let out a strange laugh. Suddenly, the light bulb in the cave dwelling flickered a few times. Probably because the filament had been burning for a long time, the light suddenly became dim. At this moment, only Levi's sinister voice was heard. "There are ghosts in that temple. Every night, they will appear." As soon as the words were spoken, the wooden door panel of the cave dwelling that had been left ajar slammed open. Bang! The door panel collided with the cave dwelling wall behind it, making a loud noise, except for Harper, who was still engrossed in eating. Everyone else instinctively turned their heads to look over. There was no one outside the door. Only a gust of cold wind blew in. "Ghosts!" Lucas was the first to withdraw his gaze. His complexion remained unchanged as he asked, "What kind of ghost?" Levi got off the Kong, closed the door again, and then went to rummage through the cabinet for a light bulb. His whole body was facing away from us. He said unhurriedly, "Young fellows, you don't know this. There is a group of ghosts in the temple in our village. But don't worry, they are not dangerous at all and are quite friendly. Only when you outsiders come to play the Four Corners game will you have the chance to see them. These ghosts will enthusiastically tell you many secrets, including all the secrets you want to know. So if you 3 college students from out of town want to know the history of that temple, go to the temple before dawn in the early morning, play this Four Corners game with them, and lure them out." At this moment, Levi found the light bulb. He turned around and looked at the 3 of Lucas with a forced smile. "So do you want to go to the temple to have a play?" "Don't worry. My son William and I will go with you. There's absolutely no danger." "Yes." Lucas nodded. Daniel and Mia both nodded one after another. The next second, a mechanical voice rang out in my mind as I was arranged to go and play games with them. Ding dong. Side mission triggered, the secret of the Four Corners game. Sure enough, there was something fishy behind the game. "Ghosts? I don't believe it." Even if there were, it would be man-made. I vaguely sensed that in this Duan family village, there seemed to be another kind of power struggling. So, Levi asked us to go to sleep until 4 o'clock in the morning. At 4 o'clock, he will take us to the temple. After a dinner with ulterior motives, as the village chief, Levi naturally had to arrange accommodation for us. There are 4 cave dwellings in the Duan family. 1 is for cooking and 3 are for living. Harper, fearing that Mia would seduce Levi, directly pushed Mia impatiently into the room on the far right. What are you looking at? With me here? You little slut from the city, don't even think about seducing my man. Or I'll smash your face too. Make you go back to the city crying. Harper. Levi gave her a gloomy look and said meaningfully, you need a good beating, right? Don't spoil my good deeds again today, or else I. Harper, who had been scolded, calmed down a little and nodded reluctantly. Levi snorted and then turned to wave at me. Son, you'll sleep with your dad tonight. I don't want to. Just as I was about to refuse, Daniel spoke up. Uncle, I have a lot of things I want to consult you about. Let's sleep on the same Kong tonight. Sure. Then William, you can stay with the other handsome young man. Oh, Daniel and Levi entered the one on the right, chatting like brothers. Before leaving, Daniel even gave me a charming smile. Just like this, I naturally lived in the same room with Lucas. After everyone entered their rooms, the yard quickly became quiet. Harper, who usually had a loud voice, surprisingly didn't shout much. As soon as I sat on the Kong, I let out an annoyed tisk. After being blown by the dust all day, I felt dirty all over. Even moving my mouth a little, I could taste the dust. It even hurt to breathe. William, do you want to wash up? Lucas, who was checking if there were any clues in the cave dwelling, turned around directly. I nodded listlessly. Yeah, my mouth tastes all dusty. The young man walked over. Bend down and lower your head. Suddenly kissed me, and thrust his tongue into check. Teeth, root of the tongue, palate. 1 second before I could react and give him a hard kick. He had already straightened up, his voice low and deep. There's no earthy taste. It's clean. Get lost? You're such a flirt. I wiped my mouth with a scowl on my face and couldn't help but give his pants a kick. Immediately, a dirt footprint appeared on the clean, dark work pants. Lucas didn't take pictures either. When I came here, I saw that there was no water in the yard. There's only a well down the slope. It's not safe to go out now. Nonsense. I know that. Unexpectedly, he said again. But actually, you can wash up here. I asked suspiciously. How can we wash here? I'll wash it for you. Saying that, Lucas's hand transformed into a pool of transparent and clean water. This was his skill card. I sneered. Lucas, have you no sense of shame? If you truly and simply want to bathe me, then tone down that look in your eyes. It's as if you're about to devour me. Lucas, being exposed, wasn't flustered. He just first raised his hand to pat the dirt off the hem of my clothes. I'll really bathe you. You say where to wash, and I'll wash there. I definitely won't move around randomly. I glanced at him and said, Really? Really, I can wash your face for you first to give it a try. Once the good-looking appearance of his took on the guise of a gentleman, it was really damn misleading. So I believed him. Then I lazily lifted my chin and ordered, Come on. I'll give you a chance to show what you can do first. Lucas leaned in closer again and washed my face with his liquefied hands in a proper manner. His palms were broad and his fingers long, able to cover my face. I vaguely remembered at a certain moment during our passionate love that he forcefully pressed my head into the soft pillow in his off-campus apartment and asked me hoarsely and wantonly yet tenderly beside my ear, Baby, why is your face so small? My eyes wandered and a bit of hot redness unconsciously crept onto my face. Lucas, that annoying fellow, glanced at me and didn't say much. He just washed more meticulously. After washing my face, I let down most of my guard and even took the opportunity to give a post-service review. Okay, not bad skills. I'll reluctantly give a good review. Then do you want to wash the rest of your body? Struggling for a moment as I was in desperate need of a good sleep to regain some health points, I said, Yes, but remember you promised not to move around, or I'll really turn hostile and beat you up. With that, I even waved my fist in a threatening manner. As you wish, the hand of Lucas that didn't turn into water reached the collar of my clothes. His Adam's apple moved slightly. William, will you take it off by yourself, or shall I do it for you? Taking this bath made it seem as if we were a married couple. Oh, remove the word couple. I was wiped dry with Lucas's relatively clean short-sleeved shirt and tucked into the quilt. I was coughing dully with a wooden expression on my face. Lucas, sooner or later, I'll chop off your 2 hands, your arms, and oh, your tongue too. Can you leave my tongue? Please. Reason? To eat your leftovers. I wanted to call him a bootlicker, But then I quickly recalled the scene that had just happened in my mind and froze in a rather strange way. Finally, I chose to cover my head with the quilt and pretend to be asleep by turning my back to him. Lucas smiled. Soon he finished washing up quietly with a rustling sound and then lay down behind me. He didn't go to sleep either, just stared at my emaciated and sickly shoulder blades with a solemn gaze. William, what do you think of this dungeon? I half closed my eyes, and the figure of a person emerged in my mind. We might misjudge the boss again this time. It's not Harper. Yes and also no. I guess. Why did Harper and the other female villagers in Duan Family Village have their faces disfigured to varying degrees? Why would Harper care so much about any woman who gets close to Levi? Like Mia? Why is she so strange? If she is the boss, is she good or bad? Lucas helped me tuck in the quilt behind me. So the Four Corners game will verify one thing. Verify who the ghost is. Lucas's intelligence is slightly higher than mine. He can quickly react to and continue my words, and also point out something that I failed to notice. Mia will be a little crucial, he said. I paused for 2 seconds listlessly, then turned around noisily to face him. Oh right? What are Daniel's and her skill cards? Lucas, come closer. It's really hard to tell what Daniel's skill card is. He's not an easy person. We need to be on guard against him. I'm not stupid. I know. Moreover, this Daniel gives the impression that he is always subtly currying favor with me and Lucas. What does he want to get from us too? I just can't figure this out. What about Mia? I feel that she can summon wind or something like that. Yeah, it should be wind. Well, she's not as good as you. You can transform into the 5 elements at will. That's incredibly cool. Who can compare with you? I said so. Lucas let out a low laugh and finally closed the distance that he had been planning for a long time. He pressed his face gently against mine. William, you're so cute. Get lost. I was pinned down on the Kong by him for quite a while with annoyance. Finally, I closed my eyes, muttering curses. With him around, I naturally won't worry about any safety issues in the dungeon. In a daze, I, who had consumed a lot of stamina, soon fell asleep. But soon, I obediently rolled into Lucas's arms. He looks cold, but surprisingly, his body is really warm. It made me feel that I was even snoring a little. I also had a dream. In the dream, Lucas and I seemed to be clearing various instances with Daniel. Broken dream, I mumbled silently. Tension. Player William. Health points 8. Player William is in a seriously ill state. The upper limit of health points has dropped to 8, and health points will not be increased by resting in the future. It was not yet 4 o'clock in the morning. There was only a little light in the sky and everything was blurry. Levi let Harper sleep at home by herself and he brought us to that temple. On the way, Daniel showed concern for me for no reason. William, did you sleep well? I glanced at him and said lazily, I had a nightmare. Daniel smiled and continued walking. When we came near the temple, I vaguely sensed other figures flickering nearby. Young fellows, we're here. You can go in and have fun by yourselves. I'll wait for you here by the pillar at the entrance of the temple. Be careful. When playing the Four Corners game, never look back and don't say anything except when the game is stopped. He reminded us in a sinister way. These are the rules of the instance. We must abide by them. The Four Corners game, I've heard of it. That is, for people are in a square and dark environment, facing the wall, and then they take turns to move to pat the shoulders of their companions in either the clockwise or counterclockwise direction. When a player reaches an unoccupied corner, he or she needs to cough first, stay there for 5 seconds, and then skip this corner and continue to the next one until he or she pats the next person. After some time, the players may find that the coughing sound has disappeared, which means that there is someone in each corner, but footsteps can be heard, and it seems that there is an extra it has sneaked in. That is the ghost Levi mentioned, but could it be that simple? Glancing at Levi, whose excitement was hard to conceal in his eyes, Lucas and I walked into the temple with the others. Levi actively closed the temple door. The outside of the temple was a bit dilapidated, and the inside was no better. It was full of broken walls and ruins. The cold wind in the early morning blew through the dilapidated eaves in the southwest corner of the wall with a big hole, making a whimpering sound that sent shivers down one's spine. In the middle of the temple, the 2-meter-high Buddha statue was already incomplete, with its head or the middle part of the statue broken and scattered on the ground, covered with a layer of lust that had accumulated over the years. The prayer flags were tangled up in a mess. There seemed to be words on each of them, but it was hard to see clearly due to the light problem. The overall structure was a longer rectangle running east-west. Lucas tapped on the wrist of my right hand in the dim light, motioning for me to save the file. I suppressed a muffled cough and did as I was told. When I inadvertently looked back, I found that Mia seemed to want to say something. She had a look of wanting to speak but holding back when we came out of Levi's house. It was just that Levi had been with us all the time, and we couldn't talk after entering the temple, so her expression was a bit strange. After that, we stood in the four corners of the temple respectively. I was at the northeast corner, Lucas was at the southeast corner, Daniel was at the southwest corner, and Mia was at the northwest corner. Stand facing the wall. Daniel cleared his throat slightly, indicating that he would start walking clockwise first, stepping on a mess of sundries. His footsteps were quite obvious. After about a little more than a minute, Daniel's footsteps stopped, and a gentle pat on the shoulder was heard in the temple. Then, a series of footsteps of someone who was obviously much lighter in weight walked towards me. Another minute or so passed, and someone patted me on the shoulder. I didn't turn around and walk towards the southeast corner. Creak, creak. I walked up behind Lucas and patted him on the shoulder. Lucas then walked towards the southwest corner where Daniel had been originally. 1 minute later, a light cough was heard there, and the footsteps started again. Lucas walked past the unoccupied southwest corner to look for Daniel, who is now located in the northwest corner. The first 2 rounds were all quite normal. There wasn't an extra pair of footsteps, nor any strange figures. It was so normal that I even began to suspect whether this instance was simply about playing a four corners game. It wasn't until the 3rd round that when it was Mia's turn in the southeast corner to walk through the unoccupied southwest corner and pat me on the shoulder in the northwest corner. The rustling sound of clothes rubbing against each other. Mia seemed to let out a short exclamation. Then there was another bout of the rustling sound of clothes rubbing against each other, and the footsteps disappeared. My drooping eyelids instantly lifted, but I didn't turn around. Instead, I continued to wait for a while. Half a minute later, the temple was still quiet, except for the occasional wind. There were no footsteps. There were faintly only 3 breathing sounds. The game is suspended. The 3 of us quickly walked towards the southwest corner of the temple in the dark. It was empty. There was no one. There was only a fresh bloody palm print half printed on the broken hole in the southwest corner. Even in the dim light, it was unusually bright red. Mia was gone. She just suddenly disappeared from the temple. I immediately reloaded the game 3 times. The first time, I stared fixedly into the darkness, but the footsteps still disappeared. The second time, when Mia was walking over, I also turned around at the same time, but the distance between the southeast and the southwest was long. I walked along the wall hoping to meet her by chance, but she still disappeared inexplicably. The 3rd time, I quickened my pace even more and finally managed to see a little shadow. A not very tall shadow quickly took Mia away through the not-so-big broken hole in the southwest corner. I looked down at that bloody palm print by the little light outside. Lucas stayed beside me. She's not in danger. She surely knows this person and thinks she's trustworthy. Who could be the person that Mia, who is equipped with aggressive skill cards and has a not low intelligence value, trusts in the dark? Who could it be? The NPCs that have appeared in this instance so far are Levi, Harper, Sophia, Alexander, and those unnamed male and female villagers. Is there anyone related to her hesitation before the game? Is this person related to the secrets of the Four Corners game? I wiped off that bloody handprint thoughtfully, seriously, carefully, leaving no trace at all. When the 3 of us opened the temple door, there was only a glimmer of dawn on the horizon. Levi was whispering something to several male villagers who had come at an unknown time. With a lewd smile, there was a pile of messy things beside him. Hearing the sound of the door opening, they turned around in surprise, seeing that there were only the 3 of us male players. They were even more surprised. Immediately, he asked me through gritted teeth, "William, where are the girls who went to play games with you? Why are only you 3 guys out?" I twitched my nose and took a gentle sniff of the scent on him. Feeling my consciousness blur for an instant, calming my mind, I looked at him and said slowly, "She's gone missing." "Gone missing? What? Gone missing? Didn't we agree to make some noise and pretend to be ghosts only on the 5th lap? Who made the first move? Brother Levi, didn't we agree that I would go first this time? I'm already 40 years old." Those male villagers were discussing in hushed voices. "Shut up!" Levi roared and then rushed into the temple to search around hastily. Naturally, there was no one there. Levi cursed a few more times and asked me a few more questions. I all said, "I didn't see." She disappeared suddenly and there was no sound either. Where on earth did that living person go? Who dares to oppose me? He scanned those equally frustrated male villagers with an angry look on his face. Upon seeing Daniel and Lucas beside him with unpleasant looks on their faces, he managed to force a smile. "Well, boys, I'm really sorry for this accident, but don't worry. I will definitely find this little girl for you. You go back and get some sleep first," Lucas said in a deep voice. We won't sleep anymore. We are rather worried about the safety of our companion now. Levi was about to say something when suddenly Harper came running over, panting, with her hands in her pockets in the darkness. Levi, Eleanor's mother suddenly said that the wife of Ergu is having a baby girl. She's asking you to go and help. What? Levi cursed. Damn it. Everything's happening at once. Why didn't you come earlier, you woman? Harper shouted. Can I decide this kind of thing? Then you guys go back. Uncle, do you mind if we go to the village to look for our classmate? I'm afraid she got lost while playing. Daniel interrupted him. Levi narrowed his eyes and then readily agreed. Go ahead. If you're sleepy, let my wife take you home to sleep, okay? William, don't go to sleep first. Come with father for a trip. Lucas's eyes narrowed. Under the dim light, I quietly touched his hand and nodded obediently. Yes, father. If the player's identity is that of a villager in Duan Family Village, it seems there is still a single-player storyline. Without much hesitation, I followed Levi and left. Lucas frowned as he looked at my back, and was about to take a step and follow me over there forcefully. But suddenly realizing that Harper, who was suspected to be the boss of this instance, was still nearby, he calmly turned back. But his expression froze, because Harper, who was still out of breath in front of Levi just now, had a rather strange look on her face at this moment, making the hideous scar on her face look even more prominent. After coughing quietly and going down the slope with Levi, the two of us came to a brightly lit earthen courtyard. There were several male villagers happily gathering around the entrance of that cave dwelling to watch the fun. Seeing Levi coming, the male villagers consciously came over. Brother Levi, you're here. What's going on today? It's such a hassle to clean out a woman's belly. Get rid of the belly? What is clearing the belly? At first, I was stunned. Immediately, I jerked my head around and looked inside, only to see in horror that a female villager with a big belly was being beaten by several male villagers. The blows were landing on her bulging belly. Her mouth was stuffed with someone's sock, and her screams were stifled back. A group of new male villagers joined in. Eleanor's mother took a look and then corrected herself, saying that this pregnancy of this family is going to be twin girls again, and since it's been several months already, it's a bit troublesome to get rid of it. Levi sneered. Can't even bear a boy. Gianna, you useless thing. And you're supposed to be a female college student too. I'm getting itchy hands too. I have to go and throw a few punches myself. Hey, you take a break. Let me have a go. A group of new male villagers joined in. That female villager named Gianna was full of horror on her face. Her cries were muffled but strangely shrill. Even though I knew they were just a group of NPCs, I still got angry instantly. Get rid of the belly? Is it to forcibly abort the female fetuses by brute force? After decisively making a save by drawing a circle with my right hand, I shouted coldly, all of you, stop right now. Then, I was about to rush over. Ding dong, this plot is a necessary main storyline. Players are not allowed to interrupt or disrupt it randomly, but the mechanical voice of the system rang out. It forced me to stand still on the spot, unable to move for a while. Moving even a little would cause an excruciating pain as if being struck by a high-voltage electric current throughout the body. Tension. Player William. Health points 7.0. Tension. Player William. Health points 6. Attention. Player William. Health points 5.0. Ding dong. Once again remind the player that this plot is a necessary main storyline. Player William cannot interrupt it at will. Otherwise the instance clearance will fail immediately. Failing the mission means death in reality. So, I could only watch helplessly as Gianna's pants were gradually stained red with blood from the beating. Her cries grew weaker and fainter. Finally, the village head, Levi, disgustedly fished out two barely formed male infants, but they had already turned purple and died. Damn it, these are two baby boys. How many times is this? Eleanor's mother was so muddle-headed that she made a mistake again. I have to tell Eleanor's father to teach her a lesson. She's caused our village to have no new children for years. What should we do with the baby boys? What to do? Bury them behind the temple. We can't just throw them into the mountains for the wolves to eat like baby girls. All right? Some male villagers carried the dead baby boys and walked towards the back of the temple. No one cared about Gianna, who was lying on the ground, barely alive. She seemed to be nothing more than a container. If it's useless, just throw it aside. She isn't a bird in a cage. A bird in a cage, when the cage is open, still has a chance to fly away. She is a bird embroidered on a screen. On the khaki satin screen, after a long time, the feathers have darkened, gone moldy, been eaten by worms, and will die on the screen. When Levi and the other villagers went aside to wash their hands and smoke, I was finally released from the confinement by the system. Hey, William, What the hell are you doing over there with that woman? She's so damn unlucky. Our William will have to go through this kind of stuff sooner or later. He'll be taking over your job of gutting those women. It's better for him to get used to it early. Don't be so overprotective. Brother Levi. Yeah, you're right. I'm just waiting for him to bring me back a few female college students when he goes to university. Then I have to reserve one in advance. This time I want the kind of college student who can sing. It sounds nice. I want one who is good at studying. In the future, the genes, right? The genes of my child will surely be good. A phoenix can come out of a mountain valley too. I walked into the cave dwelling and crouched down beside Gianna, who was on the verge of death. Her eyelids drooped, and she was breathing feebly. When she saw me, she just trembled with fear. Can I give the pine nut prop to the NPCs to eat? I tried to strike up a conversation with that mechanical voice in my mind. Naturally, the mechanical voice won't respond to any inquiries from the players. Without much hesitation, I pulled the sock out of her mouth and threw it away, then held the pine nut in my other hand and brought it to Gianna's lips. You, beasts. You are all beasts? Gianna suddenly sprang up and bit Michael's wrist hard, her eyes full of bitter hatred. Drops of blood fell down. Tension. Player William, your health points are 4. Levi and the others heard the noise and immediately walked towards the cave dwelling. Michael didn't struggle but just said in a low voice, Sister, if you eat this thing, you may survive. Only by surviving can there be hope. Gianna's biting action paused for a moment, and then she slowly let go. She opened her mouth as if she was curious, but after exhausting her strength, she couldn't speak for a while. Then she smiled. So this is what Harper's child is like. I looked at her in surprise for 2 seconds and directly stuffed the pine nut into her mouth. By the time Levi and the others came in, Gianna's breathing had already stabilized a bit. The pine nut worked. It's good that it worked. What's going on, William? Did this woman Gianna disobey and cause you trouble? Levi asked me. I quietly hid the tooth marks on my wrist and got up. No. Levi narrowed his triangular eyes to look at me and then at that female villager. Finding nothing, but he gave a strange smile. After the stomach clearing was over, it was almost dawn. Levi called on a group of people to go to the village to look for Mia. Whoever finds this female college student will have her as his wife. If those 2 young men from the city ask about it, just say as usual that she can't be found and is missing. Those male villagers were almost crazy, inorganic, greedy, and completely inhumane. I went back home. As soon as I entered the door, I saw Harper chopping firewood in the yard all by herself. When no one was beside her, she shed her shrewishness and rudeness and was quiet. Only the bandage on her hand had been changed and was new. Suddenly, she noticed my gaze, looked up, and her expression quite naturally turned into the vulgarity of a village woman. You don't even know to make a sound when you come back? You're as crazy as your dead old man. I asked. Mom, are you very afraid that Dad will take a liking to Mia? Nonsense. That little vixen, pretending to be uncompetitive there, actually doesn't know how much she covets your dad in her heart. He's the village chief, and what he says goes. I mean another kind of fear. My voice unconsciously softened a bit. I mean the kind of fear. You're afraid that she, like you, can't escape from this village, right? Harper stared at me, didn't say a word, seemed to be sizing me up. The blade of the firewood chopping axe was quietly facing me, with eyes full of vigilance and tons of murderous intent. I've been curious all along. How could a vulgar and jealous village woman like Harper and Mia stay peacefully on the same Kong until 4 in the morning? The spittle alone could drown her, right? What's even more curious is Mia's hesitance to speak in the temple. The bloody handprint in the southwest corner of the temple. The narrow hole. From the very beginning, you've been urging Mia to leave. You're not afraid that she'll threaten your position after being favored by Levi. You're afraid that she'll be trapped in this big mountain full of lust. You confessed everything to Mia last night, right? You only trust women. The four-corner game is a clumsy means used by Levi and these men to abduct and deceive foreign women. They just use knockout drops or something, trying to abduct Mia in the dark. And then you showed up first to save her. And Mia was hidden by you and protected. You, Eleanor's mother, and the pregnant female villagers put on a show to buy time. This show was exactly what you wanted, because you didn't want to have children for these men, whether they were boys or girls. Auntie, right? Ding dong. The side mission is completed. The mission rewards will be distributed uniformly after clearing the instance. Harper suddenly smiled, looking as gentle as a daffodil carefully cultivated in a greenhouse. It's just a pity that she got injured. When she spoke again, her voice was no longer in a dialect tone but in standard Mandarin, with a touch of the soft and gentle speech of the Jiang and water towns. Yes, I've hidden her away. My son is so smart, just like me. But in appearance, he takes after your grandmother. So good looking. It's just a pity that you're too smart. Also, it's a pity that you have half of Levi's blood in your body. As soon as she finished speaking, the chopping axe in her hand was about to strike at my head. The distance was very close, but I dodged with a quick sideways movement. Just before I could fully react, the gleaming silver knife was lunging towards my neck again, stirring up a flurry of tiny yellow wood chips and debris. I could have dodged steadily originally, but suddenly I inhaled quite a bit of it, and the discomfort in my lungs hit me instantly. The blade grazed the skin on my neck. Attention, Player William, your health points are 4. Mother, I didn't mean anything else. I can you. Before I could finish speaking, another strike came. The blade slashed across my arm again. Attention, Player William, health points 3. Attention, Player William, health points 2. I directly fell weakly to the ground, kicking up a layer of dust, and my lungs felt like they were about to burst. Finally understood why she ate so much food. Men are no match for her at all. But Harper wasn't in such a hurry to kill me who was coughing violently with a mouthful of blood. She just picked up a stick, stared at my legs and head, with a flash of reluctance and struggle in her eyes. I'll break your legs and then beat you into a fool. You won't die, but you won't be able to bully us like Levi anymore. William, I'm so sorry for giving birth to you. With that, she raised the stick with red eyes. At this moment, I finally got a chance to shout out, Grandpa, save me. If you're my brother, come and block the knife for me. The next second, Lucas instantly appeared in front of me. His hands turned into a mass of soft branches this time, entangling the fierce-looking Harper. By the time he turned around, I had already eaten the remaining pine nut shakily. Player William used the item pine nut, and his health points increased to 7. Wasn't it supposed to increase by 10 points? Are there also fake and inferior props? Sensing my inner curses, the mechanical voice added coldly. All items that increase health points are affected by the player's maximum health point value. Player William is in a critically ill state, and his maximum health points have dropped to 7. After Lucas picked me up from the ground, my entire eyelashes were wet with physiological tears. Mixed with the lust, my face was in a sorry state. Lucas gently tried to wipe Harper's face, but she carelessly wiped it haphazardly herself. Then I raised an eyebrow at him triumphantly. Lucas, when you were not by my side just now, I had already fully understood the secret of the Four Corners game. I heard the prompt sound indicating the success of the task. How about that? Am I awesome? The boy who was holding me paused for a moment. His Adam's apple moved slightly and his gaze slowly shifted downward. Look, I looked down together with him. Then my fists clenched. Bastard, you're still thinking about these vulgar things all the time? Shameless. Get lost. I stomped on him hard. I was too lazy to pay attention to him. I turned my head to look at Harper, who was tied up inside. When I was about to explain things to her in a nice way again, she stared at me with an ambiguous look and suddenly said, Sure enough, you're not my son. Thinking that the player shouldn't expose their identity. I denied it. I am. She was certain. No, you aren't. My son William, although weak in body, is lazy and gluttonous. The way he looks at us women is as disgusting as that of his father Levi. You're different. Your eyes are clear. Most importantly, he doesn't like men. With that, she took a look at Lucas, who was still checking my wound with concern. I scratched my face. Well, I'm indeed not. I'm here to save you all. Harper was stunned for a moment. Save us. She was about to walk over excitedly when Lucas quickly withdrew the branches that were binding her. Can you really save us? How? Can you not leave anyone behind? That little girl named Mia is in the secret room underground the temple. I hid her well. Levi and the others will never find her. It's just that there are too many of Levi and the others. There are at least several hundred male villagers in a village. Can you few defeat them? Why don't you go to the big city to look for some help? Never go to the towns or counties. They don't care about this there. Harper took my hand and kept begging me. I said yes, we will save everyone. Daniel, stop watching the fun. It's your turn to take action. Daniel, who had been watching the show not far away, then stood up lazily. I can't defeat over 100 people either. Even your boyfriend would find it difficult. Use your skill card. There isn't a single offensive skill in my skill card. Then why did you send me a dream last night? I'm extremely unhappy. Daniel coughed slightly and said, Sure enough, the player with a wisdom value of 99 isn't boasting. Let's lay our cards on the table. My skill card is planting dreams. It's similar to a kind of psychological suggestion. As long as I plant the dream I've set up into other people's dreams, then these people will be affected. Of course, the higher a person's wisdom value is, the less they will be affected. Psychological suggestion. Or it can be said that this is mind control. So what did he mean by planting a dream of clearing the dungeon together in my mind? I narrowed my eyes slightly, lost in thought, but I didn't ask more about it for the time being. Tonight, you will send a dream to all the male villagers in Duan family village. What kind of dream? A dream that can make them break down. During the whole day that followed, we pretended to follow Levi to look for people, took the opportunity to let Daniel plant dreams on everyone. That night, the exasperated male villagers had a dream collectively. I planted a dream for them. The Duan family village hasn't seen the birth of a baby boy for many years. Ultimately, this is because the dead baby girls are seeking revenge. Only if the male villagers go and eat all those baby girl corpses on the back mountain and suppress the yin energy with their yang energy, can the Duan family village get a group of male descendants. And more women will be attracted here as well. As soon as they woke up from this dream, all the male villagers were in an uproar. Did you have that dream? Yes, I did. Don't tell me you all had the same dream? I've asked around. Everyone did. Could it be that the gods are giving us a hint? I think so. Brother Levi, what do you think? Yes, village chief, what should we do? Levi was also a bit at a loss. After a long while, he slapped his thigh. For the sake of our Duan family village, for the sake of having baby boys and new women, let's eat. So all the men in the village went to the back mountain in a bustling crowd. There, the corpses of baby girls that had been discarded for decades, even hundreds of years or more, had piled up into a small hill. Harper quietly told me, we secretly took away and buried the corpses of those baby girls. These bones and rotten flesh are the corpses of the men in the village who died of various diseases. Only then did I breathe a sigh of relief. Soon, under Levi's command, all the male villagers still started eating the rotten flesh. While eating, they were also imagining the wonderful future life of Duan family village. After eating, everyone cheerfully prepared to go back home. As a result, one of the male villagers suddenly convulsed and fell to the ground first. Then another one fell to the ground. Before everyone could react, suddenly someone went crazy, picked up a stone and smashed the person next to him to death. One person directly bit off the ear of the person next to him. Then, there were even more dead people and crazy people. Some men's bellies even suddenly swelled into a ball and burst with a crackling sound right in front of everyone. The sounds of screams, scuffles, shouts, and cries for help. It was exactly the same as all the voices of women that I had heard since coming to this instance. Harper was a bit dazed. Does human flesh of the dead have such a great effect? Indeed, it's all retribution. I looked at that group of crazy male villagers. Each of them had a small black shadow hanging on them more or less. The small black shadows had pigtails. They were swaying back and forth, looking blurry. Levi had the most black shadows on him. They were almost about to devour him bit by bit. It's all retribution, I said. All the men in the Duan family village died a tragic death in the back mountain. All the women were a bit at a loss for a moment. Gianna, a female villager who was saved by me with pine nuts last night, was the first to react. She hugged me with bright eyes. Thank you, child. I helped her up a bit. You're welcome. Harper also smiled and quickly called out to everyone. Don't just stand there in a daze. That little girl is still in the secret room of the temple. Let's hurry up and set her free. Yes, yes, yes. All the female villagers snapped out of it one after another and walked towards the temple side by side. They were smiling and chatting. I walked behind them together with Lucas and Daniel, looking at their backs silently. Mother is not just a form of address. It's not just an identity. It represents a group. It represents all the women trapped in the Duan family village. Harper, Ella, Sophia, they were insulted, chained, traded like livestock, regarded as shared resources, and used as breeding tools. Even when they were pregnant, they couldn't have a moment of peace. If it was a girl, they had to clear the womb. If it was a boy, they could barely have a little respite. In this hellish mountain area, they had no status or dignity. They could neither live nor die as they wished, but they didn't resign themselves to fate. One woman after another united together. They were afraid that the newly abducted women would be bullied by more men on the first night and directly commit suicide. So they went to beat her up, made her ugly, reduced her attractiveness and the men's interest in her. Or they would offer their own bodies to save other women without any complaint. For example, when Harper saw Ella for the first time, she scratched Ella's face, leaving a hideous scar. After that, the greedy stares of the men on Ella decreased. Harper was very happy, so her hands were shaking when she was combing her hair. They were trying to protect every bit of the fragile dignity of women. During the day, they depended on men, feigning shrewishness and docility. At night, after the men were sound asleep or had gone to the neighboring house, as long as the women had free time, they would help other women to escape if they had the chance. They ate a lot just for the moment of escape. Year in and year out, they still persevered. and even tried hard to save every foreign woman who was taken to the temple to play the Four Corners game. Because Levi and others would deliberately take advantage of the dim light during the Four Corners game to quietly stun the foreign women and hide them away. Then they would make an excuse to their companions, saying, "Look, it was the ghosts and gods who were unhappy and took the person away. It's all your fault for not playing the game properly and not respecting the deities." Under the various coaxing of the male villagers, the companions could only give up after a long time. Once the outsiders left, the abducted women would become the next Sophia, the next Harper, trapped for a lifetime, as disgusting as his father. When Mia was brought out of the dark room by Harper and the others, her expression was also very moved. I looked up at a hanging prayer flag. The sunlight was just right and everything was clearly visible. There was a line of words written in blood on the prayer flag. Although due to the passage of time, this line of words had been oxidized and became a bit blurred, but I could see it clearly. That was a powerful declaration. Mutual assistance among women. It has never been a slogan, but a real action. Harper and the others have made it. They were smiling and chatting. The scars on their faces weren't hideous at all, because they were the totems of their resistance. Ding dong. Hidden Mission 1 completed. Ding dong. Hidden Mission 2 completed. The mission rewards will be distributed uniformly after clearing the instance. Harper suddenly said to me, "Actually, my name isn't Harper." I asked, "Then what's your name?" "My name is Owen." Owen smiled gently. Her eyes were bright, like the rising sun, full of hope. Sophia also smiled and said, "My name isn't Sophia either. I'm Chloe. My grandfather named me. It's been decades since I was abducted here when I was a teenager. I don't know if my grandfather is still waiting for me at home." The other female villagers began to speak one after another. "My original name was Grace. My parents hoped that I would be happy all my life. My real name is Emily. My mother named me. She. I don't know if she's still alive either. And me. My real name." They were telling their real names, with tears shining in the eyes, full of joy and anticipation, yet also feeling uneasy, joyful to be out of the hell, looking forward to the upcoming new life, and also feeling apprehensive about the future. Owen asked me, "Child, we've been trapped here for so long that we can hardly remember the real world. Will there be equality there? Will it accept us?" "Yes," I said solemnly. "Definitely. Everything will be wonderful. Freedom, equality, justice. Anyway, everything will get better." Owen showed a longing look. "That's good. That's really good. We haven't walked out of the mountains for a long time. I hope the outside world can still accept us." Suddenly, she raised her hand and touched my overly thin face due to illness. "Child, you'll get better too." I was startled for a moment, and then couldn't help but smile. Why does every boss always say such a thing to me at the end? Sophia also said so. Maybe it's because they think I'm such a pitiful sick person. "Thank you for your kind words." Harper smiled kindly, and then she left the temple cheerfully with all the female villagers. They were going to pack up their things, go home, back to their real homes. Ding dong. The main storyline task is completed. At the end of the story, Owen and the other women bravely walked out of this evil mountain. They exposed the evil deeds of the Duan family village to the world and inspired more people to rescue the women trapped in the mountains. After so many years, everyone thought that these women had been tamed and would no longer remember their home addresses. However, they remembered everything clearly. They bravely resisted and fought for their rights and dignity. Finally, Owen and the others were reunited with their families one after another. Hidden Mission Reward 1, the beauty value attribute has been increased by 5, and it has been distributed to all players. Hidden Mission Reward 2, the prop Owen's Gratitude has been distributed to all players. Owen's Gratitude can greatly reduce the guard of all NPCs against you. It originates from the 2-star instance Ama.u. Side Mission Reward, a pinch of incense ashes has been distributed. A pinch of incense ashes contains deadly poison. It originates from the 2-star instance Ama.u. Main Mission Reward, a precious healing skill card is being randomly distributed to one of the players. I hurriedly closed my eyes, hoping to feel this card. The distribution is completed. Ding dong. The 2-star real-life instance Ama has been closed. Players can leave the instance on their own after 5 seconds. There wasn't a skill card that appeared in front of me for a long time. The healing skill card that could cure my illness wasn't given to me. I opened my eyes and saw Lucas, whose complexion was equally extremely ugly. Neither did he. However, he had already turned his hand into the shape of fire, with raging flames rushing straight towards Daniel and Mia. The boy's voice was chillingly cold. "Please give me this healing card. I really need it." Mia paused for a moment and then turned to look at Daniel. Facing the flames, Daniel just smiled. He flipped his hand. That healing skill card suddenly appeared. As far as I know, only 3 healing cards have appeared in all the completed dungeons so far. The other 2 are in the hands of other veteran players. You probably won't easily come across those 2 people, so don't make such a scene. Maybe we can make a deal. I agree, Lucas replied in a deep voice. Daniel raised an eyebrow. I haven't even said what the deal is yet. No matter what the conditions are, I'll agree. I just want that healing skill card in your hand. Daniel looked at me and said in a gentle and teasing tone, William, he really loves you. I kept a straight face. Stop talking nonsense. What are the conditions? Join my guild. Guild. I exchanged a glance with Lucas. It was a very unfamiliar term. Daniel nodded. Every player who has collected 10 stars will be teleported to a place. We call that place the dungeon hall. The hall has already been divided up by several guilds. Where there are people, there will be conflicts. So the struggles between guilds are intense. Moreover, as the star difficulty gradually increases, the mortality rate is naturally high. The number of guild members has been decreasing all the time. We urgently need some new forces. So we began to frequently go to 1-star and 2-star levels to look for players with potential, helping them collect 10 stars in advance. Join the guild and study the 9-star and 10-star dungeons together to clear them as soon as possible. You two are the new forces that the guild where I and Mia are in are looking for. The attributes and skill cards are all very good. You are fearless in the face of danger, tough and rational. I asked, so that's why you sent me that dream? Lucas is very strong, but he listens to you. So if you agree, he will surely agree. I calmly pressed on. For such an important matter, are you just telling us too so casually? Daniel shrugged. It's not casual either, because this is something that only players who have collected 10 stars will know. If it's revealed in advance, the dungeon will impose a penalty of reducing 1 star on the leaker who reveals any high-star level activities or information. That's really miserable. I've just been demoted from 25 stars to 24 stars. With a blank expression, I said, is there a possibility that my body won't be able to hold on until I collect 10 stars? You have to give me the healing card first so that I'll have a chance to join your guild. Daniel, however, put away the skill card with a smile. I know, but I'm afraid that if I give you the healing card, what if you two run to other guilds later? But to some extent, I still trust you two a lot. As long as you two clear a 7-star dungeon later, it'll be okay. 7 stars. One can imagine how difficult a 7-star dungeon is. This is no different from asking me to die directly in the dungeon. Then I'm sorry. The fire in Lucas's hand burned even more fiercely. Without showing any mercy, it directly attacked Daniel's face. The negotiation fell through. Then we'll just take it by force. But Daniel wasn't flustered at all. After impudently leaving a sentence of, I'll be waiting for you guys, he then calmly pulled Mia and exited the game. How should one describe the helplessness at this moment? Lucas's face was as pale as death. His usually straight and broad back was a little bent. His breathing was almost stagnant, and his face was even paler than mine. One would have thought he was the one who was about to die. I walked over and directly hugged him. He was more than half a head taller than me. In this position, I very skillfully buried my face in his neck. I rubbed against him and comforted him in a lazy voice. It doesn't matter, Lucas. Having hope is always better than just waiting to die. Besides, it's just a 7-star dungeon. With you by my side, it'll surely be a piece of cake. The two of us will go all out. Just do it. Then we'll go and get revenge on Daniel by killing him. Hey, say something. I've coaxed you like this. Don't be so ungrateful. Lucas hugged me back. His voice was incredibly hoarse. How could I bear to ignore you? William, I will definitely cure you. I suppressed the discomfort in my body and said in my usual carefree voice, sure. Whoever abandons the other first is a puppy. All right, give me a kiss. Give me a kiss. I kissed Lucas with a big smile on my face. It took quite a while before I finally managed to coax him well. After that, the two of us exited the dungeon and continued to look for a way to cure advanced lung cancer in real life. But we had very few gains. I have inadvertently seen Lucas choosing double tombs many times. I thought it over. For a moment, I still couldn't figure out how to escape from him and die peacefully alone. This bastard, he's extremely clingy. I don't want him to die, so I definitely can't die myself. 10-star, guild, healing card. I have to get them all as soon as possible. A few days later, Lucas came to pick me up after class. I packed up my things and was about to meet up with him quickly. Suddenly, a strange nursery rhyme rang out in my mind. I have a beautiful wish, to plant the sun when I grow up. Plant one. Just one is enough. It will bear many, many suns. One for the South Pole, one for the Arctic Ocean, one to hang in winter, one to hang in the evening. Hang in the evening. Players William and Lucas are about to enter the 7-star 2-player realistic instance, Planting the Sun. Please get ready for the game. The rewards of this dungeon. A highly aggressive dungeon spirit beast pet.